Hi, this is Nina Ross Business Solutions. Today, we will be discussing my best practices as it relates to serving alcohol at company functions. I broke the information up into three parts, and before I start, please use this information as a guide to help your company create its own unique policies and practices as it relates to serving alcohol at company functions. Part one. My best practices before the event. This information is not in any particular order. Number one, create an employment policy. Create a clear written employment policy outlining your company's position on alcohol in the workplace and serving alcohol at company functions. I'm going to review just 5 points you may want to include in your company's policy, and this is in no way all the information that should be included in your company's policy. A, insert the DUI laws where your company resides. This includes any charts, graphs, or other information that could help employees visualize the legal alcohol limits and the consequences of driving under the influence. B, clearly outline what types of alcohol will be served at your company's function. Only beer and wine will be served at company functions that have been pre-approved by management. Or your company may think it's easier to specify the maximum alcohol proof allowed at the company. The XYZ company will allow alcoholic spirits between 40 and 100 proof or up to 50% ABV. And that's alcohol by volume. Hi, sleepy dog. C, clearly state what products are allowed on company property. So in your company's employment policy, you would list what alcohol products or concoctions may not be allowed at your company function. The following alcohol products will not be allowed at company events. Jello shots, eggnog, spiked punch, alcohol-laced ice cubes. Add the list that, and make sure you put at the bottom that list is not meant to be all-inclusive. D, who is allowed to bring alcohol on company property? This policy could say, employees are not allowed to bring alcohol of any kind to a company function unless approved by management. Alcoholic beverages and or products must be approved in writing by management before bringing them onto company property. E, state your company's position on employees committing illegal acts. If an employee is accused of any criminal acts after leaving a company event, the company will not be providing bail, attorneys, or anything else associated with the arrest of the employee. Establish a volunteer event committee. That event committee will assist you in planning. And before you do that, because some people do take advantage of it, lay some ground rules. For example, when will the committee meet? Will any management approval be needed prior to meeting? Will the committee be allowed to meet outside of working hours? And if so, will the employee be paid for that time? I recommend presetting the amount of time you want employees to use for this type of committee, especially if the employee will be meeting on company time. Call your business insurance agent. Talk to your licensed business insurance agent. Let the agent know that your company plans on hosting a party where alcohol will be served. Inquire if the company's current liability policy covers these types of events. And if not, ask that agent what types of coverage do they recommend that will protect your employees, your company, and your assets. Here in Texas, I believe that is called a host liquor liability policy, but it may be different where you live. Appoint an event manager. The event manager would be a very trusted, authoritative individual who acts as the event supervisor. This person has the final decision on all issues related to the event and pledges not to drink any alcohol within 24 hours of the event. In addition, the event manager, among other things, will ensure that the guests are complying with the company's alcohol policy and all guests are safe. Please note that if business owners elect to not consume alcohol, they may want to consider providing support to the event manager, but not assuming the role. Inform employees of the company's policy on alcohol and how it is served at company functions. All employees should be aware of the company's policy on alcohol served at its functions, either by a face-to-face meeting, email, or any other method. Management should answer all the questions that any employee has as it relates to these types of policies, and these questions should be answered as soon as possible. Prior to hosting a company event with alcohol, employees should have either signed a pledge, i.e., a document stating that they understand the company's policy. They will either sign a meeting roster, which says that they met and they were able to get their questions answered about this policy. If you decide to send an email, the employee should respond to the email saying they've read it and they have no further questions. These are just some of the tasks I recommend companies do prior to the event. This information is not meant to be all inclusive. If you have any additional tips that you would like to share, please leave them in the comment section for others. Let's talk about part 2, during the event. And this part is all about the event manager. This individual assumes control of the event from the second they arrive. Here are some of the duties of the event manager. Alcohol should stop flowing. In my opinion, it should stop flowing at least 1 hour before the conclusion of the event. It's up to the event manager to make sure this is enforced. If the party is over at 10 o'clock, for example, the event manager should inform party goers and the bartenders that alcohol will no longer be served after 9 p.m. Event managers determine who can or who can't be served alcohol. And the basis of that decision is on firsthand account, not hearsay. For example, please do not serve alcohol to this individual because I heard them slurring their speech. I saw them staggering, or whatever it was the event manager noticed firsthand. If your company event is for individuals who are 21 years of age or older, event managers should be very comfortable with requesting valid government-issued ID for any guests who appear to be under 21. Event managers observe guest behavior as they arrive for possible intoxication upon arrival. The event manager is responsible for the enforcement of the company's alcohol policies and be able to resolve any issues. Part 3, After the event, the event manager should observe all guests safely. The event manager should observe all guests to make sure they safely leave the event. Who's supposed to clean up after the function? Whoever it is, that event manager should make sure they are there and ready to clean up, or have them on the phone and scheduling a time for them to arrive to clean up. What happens to the leftover food and alcohol? Will the food be given away to partygoers, placed in a container and stored? Whatever the plan is, the event manager should get it started. If the event was on company property, how will the remaining alcohol be secured, and where will it eventually end up? If the event was held on company property, the event manager is the person who is ultimately responsible for securing the building or securing the office. That not only means to lock the doors, it means to check the bathrooms, to check any inter-offices, check other areas to make sure that no one is locked inside. Are there any cars left in the parking lot? If so, the event manager should be able to peek inside of the cars to make sure no one's passed out. Was there any drama at the event? Any fights? Any falls? Anything the event manager believes should be documented, should be written, and submitted to management within 24 to 48 hours after the event. With all of that being said, do your own research. It is impossible to outline every scenario that could happen at a function serving alcohol. If anyone is interested, on my website, there is a policy for $14.99. Each company is different with its own unique circumstances. I said this at the beginning. Use the information in this video as a guide to help your company create its own unique processes and policies as it relates to serving alcohol at company functions. Just like any other employment policy, if there is a violation to that policy, I highly suggest follow through with any disciplinary actions within 24 to 48 hours after the event. Finally, contact your licensed employment attorney if you have any questions related to company alcohol or serving alcohol at any company function. And if there are no questions, that is the end of this live stream. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next live streaming event.